Okay. Okay. Alright, that's it, right? Yeah. Technically, you shouldn't hear audio, right?
Hello. Welcome to Beyond the Classroom AFX. So today we're gonna have an awesome filmmakers, directors, alumni of Multimedia University, and also head of compositing department from Base FX. So before we begin, I would like to explain that we have two separate sessions. The first one will be from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock. Another session will be 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock. So we will have a question and answer section at 8:30, 8:45, and also 9:45. So those people who are actually like watching from YouTube right now, hi guys, welcome and thank you so much for joining us. So remember, before 8:45, if you have any questions, please jot it down inside the chat in YouTube. Okay. Okay. Cool. All right, so without further ado, I would like to introduce our two major speakers for today. All right, we will have our Mr. Chatra and also Mr. Barata. Thank you so much for joining us. Would you like to unmute your microphone and then say hi to the audience?
Can you hear?
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
hear.
Hi.
All right.
Hi.
Hello, Mr.
Hello.
Barata. Hello, Mr. Chatra. How are you guys?
We are doing good. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you
Yeah.
so much for joining us and also like willing to actually share your experience with us today. So before we begin, I would like to introduce a little bit about the story of Mr. Bharata and Mr. Chatra. So Mr. Bharata is a filmmaker from Sri Lanka. He studied film and animation in Multimedia University and he completed the higher education back in 2013. So after his return to Sri Lanka, he and his university friend, Mr. Chatra, directed an epic film called Aloko Udapadi. I'm not quite sure if I can pronounce it
Yeah.
correctly.
Okay.
Excuse me if I do. Okay. All right. So which won numerous awards, and then which has become okay. Also later, him and his friend formed an animation studio called Autumn Lane Studio, which has become one of the leading VFX company in Sri Lanka themselves. Wow, wow. Okay, so Bertha has been working in a filmmaker and a visual effects artist in Sri Lankan film for over 8 years. Okay, without further ado, maybe I would like to present Mr. Barata and Mr. Chatra to talk about their journey in filmmaking in visual effects after graduating from Multimedia University. Okay, you will take the lead. Thank you.
Okay. Chatra, you can go ahead.
Okay. So, very good evening, everyone. And first of all, I would like to thank everyone who actually invited us for this session. It has been a privilege for us to actually come and share our experience throughout since our studies back in Malaysia, which had been a like a turning point in our lives. Basically, we uh, we majored in visual effects mainly, but for our final year project, we both did two separate animation films, animated short films, because we even from the beginning we had this passion for film. Right? We were always pursuing. We were always dreaming of becoming filmmakers of some sort. With that thought in our mind, we actually came to Sri Lanka with the hope of actually doing something new and also bring something different to Sri Lankan moviegoers, to Sri Lankan audience. And we somehow found this opportunity to actually work on this big project. It is somewhat uh, big for us because uh, that was right after we actually done with the studies, and we were so fortunate to have to be a part of that project. So that was called Alokudapadi. Ma'am, you actually went very close to it. So that is based on an historical event which happened back in 2,500 years ago in Sri Lanka, which is based on real events, which required a lot of mm, visual effects work. And since we actually came from that background during our studies in MMU, since we actually went through that particular training, it was somewhat easy for us to accept this challenge because up to that point, we were just working on short films and documentaries, but we were not involved in a project of that scale. So, but it was easy for us to somehow accept that challenge and then do have workarounds to make it a successful film with the help of Sri Lankan talents, and also we were able to, with our expertise at that time, I mean, with the knowledge we had, the theoretical knowledge we gained from our education back in MMU, we were able to actually implement those theoretical knowledge into practically implement that in the filmmaking process itself.
That's like, um, I'm really interested in the film that you actually talk about. Could you express more about like what's the idea behind the prehistoric story? Probably you can talk more about that one as well.
Okay. Bharat, you want to go ahead with it?
No, yeah, no, it's okay.
Yeah.
Actually, I want to track back a little bit about the university because that was the point. We actually, the movie is the point, the big breaking point for us. But before that, to prepare for that particular event, we went through a training in the university. So, and I especially want to mention that it's not the technical knowledge actually we gain from the university. Okay, technical knowledge you can actually gain from anywhere you want. Um, Nowadays, you can log into the internet and find a lot of tutorials and so on. So it's not the thing actually we learn from the university. We learn how to take a leadership in a particular project, to lead it, and also to believe in whatever the things that we can do. Because the earlier, I remember the first time I came to the university, I met Mr. Chemart. I'm not sure whether he's working there right now, but as a student, he actually gave me an idea what is the artist should be, how the artist should be. So I think later on, when we come back to Sri Lanka, not only that project, later on, whatever we did, actually, that essence came from the university. That discipline actually came from the university. So, if you want to talk about the movie itself, as Chatra mentioned, uh, I think Chatra is the best person to actually answer that question regarding the movie. Uh, but I want to before Chatra actually go into that, I just wanted to mention that what actually did the university did for us. Okay, because usually people think when you go to the university, you learn tools, okay, the softwares and so on. But it's not the absolute truth. I don't believe that, because prime example is Chatra. I think Chatra and me, we both learn a lot of things from the university, tools as well. But more than that, we actually learn how to be an artist. That's the keyword I want to actually emphasize. Being an artist, you can be any kind of, because in MMU there are a lot of students, not only visual effects students, there's animation students and so on in animation faculty. Each of us has to go through a training to be an artist. That the reason I'm keep on emphasizing it, because later on when Chatra explain regarding the project, you can see how much effort we have to put into that. And if we didn't have that kind of a training or that kind of a discipline taught in the university by the lecturers, that awesome lecturers actually, I don't think we could have pulled off that kind of a project, because that is a actually really big one for us. I don't know how to explain it to explain it now, because in that time we were just fresh graduated people, just came out, and we have no idea what was going on in the industry, especially in Sri Lankan industry. We just had a brief idea, okay, this is how we are going to make a movie. But soon I get to understand, okay, there are particular things we have to get adjusted to the university, to the industry, in the practical industry, because when we learn in the university, it's a totally different environment, but when you move into the practical situation, it's a totally different thing. But I think we could we hold that, I mean, we won that challenge, because we went through that kind of a training. I think Chatra should explain regarding the movie. I can go on after that.
Yeah, like what how Bharat explained it. It was, I mean, we were given this huge task to manage, and I think it requires certain level of discipline as well, because it is. I mean, there are a lot of stakeholders that were involved with the project, and we somehow have to produce the best uh, quality with the given resources and like the budget and all. So let me actually take you through the premise of the film. So this entire story happens 2,500 years ago in Sri Lanka. So during the reign of King Walagamba, during this time, Buddhism were in like grave danger due to foreign invasion and also a famine that took over the country for 12 consecutive years. So during this time, Buddhist monks who were actually bringing the teachings of Lord Buddha by oral tradition actually was uh, facing a challenge to preserve Buddhism, right? So in that case, they were actually, there were monks who were actually dying because of the famine and the invasion of from the foreign invaders were actually affecting the civilians and affecting the normal ordinary life as a whole. So due to all this stuff, they were actually facing this issue where they actually thought that Buddhism would not be preserved if they were to actually continue like that. So they actually thought of our monks thought of preserving Buddhism, which were carried until that point through oral tradition by writing it on paper. So that was the first time in the history it was written on paper. Because of that, it was actually preserved until now, and it was the Buddhism, the teachings of Lord Buddha were actually taken to different part of the world as well. So it was a milestone in the timeline of Buddhism, which actually happened in Sri Lanka itself. So we thought this is something. There's a battle. There's a big war between the invaders and the civilians and the king himself. And also there were like instances we had to produce like massive scale terrains, massive scale landscapes with, you know, like corpses and then the battlefield and all. So there were like a lot of challenges that we had to face. And we all know that even though the kind of budget reserved for that film, for Sri Lankan standard, even though it is high, it is of course nowhere near a budget that you will get for Hollywood production, right? And but the way in terms of the treatment and all, the way we imagine this film, or way we envision this film, requires a certain amount of resources for it to be executed in the way we envisioned. So that was the challenge. How we actually bring forth the treatment that we had in our mind with the kind of resources we had. So the like what Bharata said, the the teaching itself, it's not like it was not never spoon fed, right? I mean, during our university life, the the lecturers were not spoon feeding putting all the technical stuff or the technicality or how to use the software or anything. It was all about principles, fundamentals to actually mold us into a better artist. So we were having that discipline, and we actually approached this film by ways that could actually be manageable with the budget we have. So we were thinking of alternative ways to bring forward a certain treatment that can actually fit to the resources we have. So again, the research, the implementation, and everything were somehow a result of all the learning and all the um, training we had back in the universities.
I see. Thank you. Thank you for the sharing. I actually personally I've been to Sri Lanka before this. I find the people over there are very friendly and they're very kind. And then you talk about the movie itself. It reminds me as when I woke up in the morning during my time in Sri Lanka, I saw like um, a march of monks. They will wake up and then they will have their rounds around. So they do that every single morning, I suppose.
Yeah, yes,
Um, that's
Yeah,
that's very.
it's a kind of tradition.
I see. That's very religious of them to
that
do.
happens quite often in outskirts more
Mhm.
than the town areas, but it is somewhat a tradition.
I see. The one thing that wins my heart from Sri Lanka compared to Malaysia, I'm sorry, Sri Lanka are very clean. I found that, yeah. And
You should not be
when-
apologizing us for that.
they are also the most interesting place in Sri Lanka that I found that the Adams Peak
Adams.
Yeah.
is a place where I find that that place is so breathtaking. And if films are they allowed to actually do some filming up there, or is it like really
There are some documentaries and so on, but
Yeah.
not actual film as sense. But yeah,
I see.
Because it's a logistical nightmare to shoot up there.
yeah, yeah.
Unless it's a
Yeah, that's
documentary,
the thing. Yeah.
because
If you
you
want to
have
do a film,
time
up there, it's
time
going
is
to
a
be
big
really
issue. Yeah. Have you been up there, or you
I
actually?
wanted to. I don't have the physicality to go up. You really need to train, isn't it, to go really out there to actually really
Yeah,
shoot a
but
paranormal.
then you can take slow, and there are a few stops that you can actually, have a rest,
It's
and
kind
then
of the
you don't
discipline.
have to be,
That's
don't
kind
have
of
to
the
do
climbing
the
discipline.
time in one day. Yeah, you can even
You
stay.
have to take a break while you are climbing, just like you are making a movie. You have to take a break sometime.
Yes. It's very, very tough to go up there.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of which, you talk about a little bit about the experience during the time when you were in MMU. May I know, like before MMU time, are both of you friends before that, or you guys met each
No,
other in MMU?
actually, we met in the university. I
Can
met
you
him in
tell
the
us a
first
bit
year in the
about like
university.
how do you guys actually come to friends in terms of, and then suddenly you guys decided to actually do this project itself?
Um, well, we whenever they're like Sri Lankans, we always have this kind of we have this community kind of thing where we actually get together, do things together. Right? So we are not the only Sri Lankans there. There were people from FOE and different faculties as well. So we were always a pack, right? But I think I joined MMU one semester before Bharata.
Ah,
I'm a one semester senior, but we did the FYP together in the same
Same.
semester. And there's something that I would actually mention about that. Since I mean, we could easily be in one team when we were doing the FYP, but we decided not to because we actually thought that FYP, final year project, is very crucial for our future, and we want to actually make the best out of it. So we were having this plan. Let's not make one project. Let's be involved in two projects. So in that case, when we actually go out from the university, we have two projects, two like work for our
Kind of
portfolio.
like a show reel. You put your all the efforts into one movie. It's going to be a show reel, definitely.
Yeah, and at the same time, he actually approached final year project with his teammates in a different manner compared to myself and my teammates. We were more towards stylization, and he approached it more photorealistic manner. So that like two worlds again. So we have I think that adds up to the portfolio again. So we can say that we are able to balance both worlds. So that is what we actually took to our producers, took to our investors, and that because I
That
was
actually
22
triggers
and he
out
was
a lot of other projects. after
Yeah.
that, because it's not only regarding the animation, even for the movie as well, because that
It is
shows
a,
something
it is
like
a,
a discipline. These guys can actually work on something from
yeah.
start to finish. So that would be something really crucial when you're looking for the producers. You have to show something that you have done so far. So
True.
it was something. It's because of that short movies we actually got a lot of opportunities later on because we
Uh,
actually,
but I was 24 and he was 25 back then, and I'm not too sure that we can find many young filmmakers over here and have investors, you know, put a lot of
spend that
confidence in
much of money actually.
Mm.
yeah, that amount of money.
Yeah.
So we instantly became, after the film, we instantly became the youngest filmmakers in Sri Lanka because, that again, this portfolio really helped us to have to get the confidence the investors needed to actually invest on the project.
And
So
also we approach that project at the same way we approach that final year project, because in the certain way that we were taught to do good pre-production, a strong pre-production, and then moves to the production and then post. So we are actually doing like 130 days of pre-production for the movie. So it's kind of like a huge thing because in Sri Lanka, I don't think any other movies has done that kind of a huge pre-production. It was, I mean, every day there was like 50, 60 people working for like 130 days to get that thing correctly. The art direction, when it comes to art direction, and for the colors and camera and everything. I mean, we actually, I remember we draw a lot of concept arts. Even before casting the actors, we actually used the actors' images and did some concept arts on top of that. So we get a better idea who we're going to cast, who has that personality. So that kind of a discipline actually we learn from that process. Otherwise, I don't think we could have pulled that off, that kind of big movie, because there was a lot of like, I remember there were some days there were like 400, 600 people on that set with the extras and all that. So it's not easy to control that amount of people. I mean, even for you, when you put a shot into camera, and you have to have that certain discipline to understand what's going on behind that lens, behind the crew. I mean, behind that lens, there's a crew actually who's working with you. So you have to learn how to work with other people. That's one thing we learned from that project. And then you have to learn how to respect your teammates, the people who are working with, and you have to believe about their talent. Otherwise, you cannot actually achieve anything like that. You have to trust each other. So we learned that trust from that group project. I believe we learned a lot of things from that group project, and immediately we went to that movie. So it's very close. We finished that final year project, and then we really immediately move into the film. So actually, we brought a lot of things with us into that movie. Not only the short films as show reels, but as experience. So it's a big deal for us, for even for me doing that thing alone, and Chatra doing that thing alone with his team, and I'm doing my thing alone with my team. That actually teach us how to lead something, how to work with the team. So it's a big thing for us just before we went to the movies to do the movie.
I see. Such a big journey. Actually, you don't stop until you actually finish it. You prolong it up until now. The relationship was gone strong in terms of like filmmakers. The passion is there, right? You didn't just kill it, because some it is usually the cases of students once they finish up their final year project, they felt relief, and they felt like I just want to take a break for a while, and then ended up a little bit sleep on terms in terms of their skills. So you guys are crunching and crunching, and up until now you still like keep on going. Oh, that's
I
a
think doing art is our break. That's the thing. That's the only way we feel relief. If we
yeah.
don't do anything like that, we feel really nervous. So that's kind of addiction me and him picked up while
Yeah,
working there.
and the drive. I mean, because we were back in the days, we were actually following a very strict curriculum. there are a lot of subjects that we had to cover within a few years, and each and everyone is somehow bringing something in, right? I mean, in a different manner. So we were quite packed, and that drive was there even after we actually left the university. So, and like what he said, we could not slow down, to be honest, because we were basically lecturers, with the guidance, with their supervision and all, they were trying to push us, and then eventually we were pushing our boundaries as well. So that itself carried out even after uni days to our when we actually joined the corporate world, when we actually joined the filmmaking world.
Terms of that. I see. I see. Actually, we have several questions for you guys now. Okay, so they say, while studying, were you thinking about the things that you wanted to work on ahead of graduation? Okay, so I think this is the one that you already answered that. Wow. See, even before asking, you already answered this. The next one, are there any specific moments or memories from your university days that you can remember, which contribute directly to solution problems in terms of you're facing during the projects? Is there any? Like any moments that during the study time that you remember, that's something that a predicament that you face during your study time? Is there anything
Yeah,
difficulties
I think
during
I
that time
relate to
you
some.
remember?
Yeah, there's this. I think it was during beta. Uh, uh, we were supposed to do this motion. I'm sorry, this animation, 2D animation assignment. That was the final assignment for that particular module. Uh, for some reason, I know the reason I could not finish it. The reason being I'm being too OCD. I mean, for some reason I actually can let go of certain things. And I remember the lecture. I'm not sure whether I should mention of her. She actually saw my unfinished work, and it was shown in front of the class as well. I was feeling very embarrassed because yeah, I was producing something incomplete, but at the same time I was kind of happy about the level of quality I was trying to bring in. But she was not impressed at all. She was simply just saying, "This OCD you have, this could be the downfall of you." I was like, "Oh gosh, that really hurt because downfall is such a strong word, right? I mean, it's downfall. And I was immediately in denial. Right? I mean, come on, is that true? I mean, I thought somehow being so picky can actually bring you places, take you places, and I was kind of rebellious also at that time. I didn't want to believe what she said. I was young and naive at that time. Right? So somehow I managed through my uni days and finished the FYP. Then I approached and I actually got into this corporate world. I find that even until now, whatever she said at that time, now it has become a philosophy for me. I mean, it is all about not give, it is not always about quality. It is all about quality and versus time, because we have to definitely have the balance in between those two. We started working with agencies, we started working with clients, and they somehow, while we while they expect quality from us, they expect us to complete a certain task within a given time. So that itself, I think until now I cannot forget what she said, and it really became a philosophy for me, because after that, it was always about finding the balance between quality versus time.
For my actually my first day of university is very, for me it's a personally something, because I remember my lecturer was Mr. Chemat. I want to say his name because he kind of like the person who guides me from that first place. So I remember there was one student, because we all are new. There was so many other students were there. And one student came to the class with a tie and with a briefcase, with long sleeves and all that. He looks like an office person. Okay, but I felt really bad. I mean, because I didn't know how to go to the class in the first day. I thought because I'm in a foreign country, I don't know. This is a new country for me, and that's the first day of the class, and I was thinking, okay, probably this is how we should dress in this particular thing. But then Mr. Chemant asked him, why are you dressed like that? Then he told something very simple, like you should free yourself. This is not an office. This is where the artists are born. Okay, so you should free yourself. If you are like this in a corporate structure, it's going to be really hard to be an artist. So for me, I actually carried on that particular thing, be free to be an artist. I actually carried it all my life after that. I mean, even now I'm lecturing and I'm telling my students the same thing, because I don't believe if you can be an artist if you are not free within yourself. I mean, if you want to, you are within structure. If you want to live within a structure, it's not good to be an artist, because your perspective will be, uh, I mean, boxed into a certain dimension, isn't it? If you want to be a free artist, if you want to be an artist, because artists are going to influence the people, the majority of the society. So there's a duty for an artist to be open and see everything as it is, and bring it to the entertainment business. So uh, people will entertain and same time have better understanding about whatever the things they are going through in their life. That is the duty of an artist. So I believe that first day actually changed my perspective regarding who am I. So I carried it with me all the time.
Thank you so
And
much.
yeah, I think in that case, I can also mention,
Yeah.
mention the yeah, that was Madam Nikki back in Beta years. So if you are listening, Madam Nikki, thank you very much.
Madam Nikki, unfortunately, Madam Nikki is no longer with
Yeah,
us
Yeah,
today.
she's in New Zealand.
Yeah, she's happily retiring in in
Yeah,
New
I
Zealand
just
by
wanted to mention
3 weeks.
one lecturer, but I mean, all the lecturers have done so many
Exactly.
things. Even Mr. Anwar, Mr.
I mean,
Adam, Lindsay.
we
I
can
mean,
just go through the list. Everyone was so
yeah,
influential in.
I mean, all those lectures are unbelievable. They actually change our life. I want to mention that. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how to respect them. I mean, I don't have enough word to respect them, because they actually clear the path for me for the future. And eternally thankful.
Looking back to where you guys were during the study, what would you give yourself an advice to to do or to improve yourself in terms of certain things? Could you share with us so that, because I think most of the ones who are actually watching currently are the students, and they were thinking about what should they actually do to become like you or to overcome certain problems that they are having now, especially for students who have gone through online learning. They became easily demotivated because due to the less interaction with humans, right? Because I bet like both of you, I don't know what happened if both of you doesn't met with each other and not friends and not having the project together. So would you kindly like give some advice, like if it's with you back then, what would you say?
Mm, I I think uh, I think we were fortunate. Actually, we were fortunate. Nowadays, the kids actually had to do with online lecturing. Even I am doing the same thing, so it's not very effective. I understand that, but the thing is, uh, for us, the driving factor wasn't that we were physically on that place. The driving factor was we were enthusiastic about what we want to do. Okay, I think Chatra and me got inspired by the same movie to be filmmakers. This is Jurassic Park. I think around that time, a lot of people actually kids got inspired to be filmmakers, and that was the driving factor. When we come to the Malaysia, we always thought, okay, we need to be filmmakers. We need to do this. Okay, so whatever we do is for that place, that path. Okay, we have the final idea what we want to be filmmakers. So we will do whatever it's necessary to be filmmakers. And we didn't treat it lightly. I mean, that goal is going to set up your whole life, because it's not like being a filmmaker or being an artist. It's not like temporary job. Okay, if you choose this path, you have to go with this path, because it is what it is. It's like any other job, but you need a lot of effort put into this to put into this. And if you're working, learning from home, if you are learning from online, it doesn't matter, because end of the day, when you become a filmmaker or animation or any kind of artist, you are going to work with people, and you need skills. You need to motivate yourself. Okay, because nobody can motivate you unless you motivate yourself. That's the first thing. Okay, there are a lot of students who came to the university, I mean, around the world. There are so many other universities as well to study filmmaking. And how many filmmakers you know in the world? Only few. The reason being, they had the dream and they went for that. So wherever you are studying, it doesn't matter. You should have your dream, figure out that dream, and work for that dream. It doesn't matter you're at home or you are in the university with your friends. It is good whether if you can work with friends, it's good. But there are circumstances, there are limitations. It's everywhere. It's always there will be limitations. Okay, even when we are studying, we had economic issues. Okay, that's the reality of this world. You have to accept that. But you shouldn't be hold out yourself because of those limitations. You have to inspire yourself to be a good artist. Chatra, I think there's something Chatra want to say as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's very true. And when I'm also lecturing here, the only thing I see is that demotivation, that kind of that lethargic, uh, approach for learning. So I think it is absolutely important for you to find ways to motivate yourself, uh, because it's always about fulfilling goals. It's always about reaching a target. And if you are thinking of a target, and if you are not doing anything right at the moment to reach that target, obviously you will not go get anywhere near. So I remember when I was working on the final year project, we at that time we didn't have a lot of resources as well. We want to push boundaries, and we were looking at we were inspired by international short films, Pixar films and stuff like that. And we were thinking of how to really get into this kind of quality, how to get our work be like that. So obviously, it was not easy with the resources we had. It needs a lot of computing power to render like that, to do all sorts of things. But we actually did not stop there. We started research. Well, research is really very important, right? At the same, if you have motivation, definitely you have to do research as well. You cannot simply go for research without having motivation. So that's a byproduct, basically. So you are doing research. Once you research, and there are a lot of sources out there which can actually help you overcome the challenges and troubleshoot. Right? And I remember I was coming up with this idea to um, render the final year project in a certain way that can reduce the rendering time in a tremendous, like tremendously, and that can actually help us get to the stick within the timeline, because we supposed to have the industry preview in a 1 month's time, and we only had 1 month to do all the rendering and compositing and stuff like that. So I did research, my teammates did research, and then we came up with different approach with passes and all, and with composting methods to get that done within the given time. So with that, we were able to get the all this kind of lighting that is required, kind of shading that is required for the film. So that was just a one instance. That it was like that in other scenarios as well, where other assignments are concerned. So do research. Research is the main important thing. It's the most important thing here. And unlike our time, you can find a lot of content in YouTube, a lot of content in other platforms, sources as well, uh, to 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 help you with your project, right? And also there are lecturers. Always interact with the lecturers. Always, that's also one thing that I actually tell my students as well. They don't interact. There are a lot of things that's there in their mind, but for some reason they do not interact, right? So interact with your lecturers because they are like experts in that particular subject, and they will be able to guide you and supervise you all the way, all the way. So that is very important. As while you find ways to inspire yourself, motivate yourself, also do not stop researching.
True. Researching that is the drive for you actually to know where direction that you're going for, isn't it? Exactly.
Don't give up your dream. That's it.
Yeah.
If you want to dream something, dream big.
Yeah, you want to know, yeah, dream big, know your direction, know where you want to go, have a goal. Um, I actually have some personal questions that I would like to ask about script writing and in terms of directing. So, can you share with me the journey of like producing the script or building the team of a script writers to actually produce your IP? Can you share a little bit about that?
You are referring to the project we did, or in general?
For the project itself.
For the project. I think it was not initially developed by us, the script. So we actually had to somehow go through it and revise it. And being a historical film, we actually had few restrictions because we kind of have to abide by certain historical facts in that case. And I know that we come from a very creative we background, and we want to actually do things that might not go well with the actual events that happened back then, right? We want to add creativity, but at the same time, we were actually pulled back from that process, and we kind of have to stick to a certain level when it comes to the authenticity. So we had to maintain that authenticity, but at the same time, there were rooms, there were windows open for us where we can actually present our creative idea. So that was presented in a certain manner that cannot harm the actual event or actual history. So that was somewhat maintained throughout, and we had few historians as well in the panel who supervised us, who actually gave ideas in certain, because we are not historians. We don't have any clue about what happened back then. I mean, in terms of costumes, in terms of how certain architecture looks, we do have a small idea because we learned a few things back in school when we were schooling in Sri Lanka. But apart from that, we didn't go into the depth in studying those. So in that case, we were getting the help from the historians to develop that. But what is beneficial and more advantageous when working the script is the knowledge that we had for VFX on VFX. So because of that, we were managed to bring certain scenes differently, because most of the scriptwriters here they do not have a VFX background, so they somehow like dream, like open it up and then it's just dream big, right? But at the same time, it's not practical, right? I mean, we start facing a lot of practical issues. But we are restricting our creativity. We are more like reforming it. in a certain way that is more practical. So that really helped us to take through. I mean, just for instance, Bharata did this concept art for this shot where you can see like ships approaching the shore. I'm telling this to everyone because that's the best example. We could have easily have the camera move around the ship on the deck, and then go around the captain or the Jack Sparrow kind of guy who's just. So we could have done all that, right? Or an ordinary scriptwriter who has no idea of VFX would have written that as well, but we did not. We know the complexity of it and the danger of that becoming very cheesy and tricky to achieve, right? So we actually stick with a. I think it is fairly a cinematic shot where it is manageable as well. So that training, that the thought process came from the training. We know that this is where we actually have to place this particular idea and not beyond that. And this is somewhat still impactful, but at the same time manageable.
I see.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's actually like Chatra mentioned, it's not only the script, because of the knowledge, we actually directed it in a certain way. That's what he was actually talking about. It's not regarding only the script. We manage it in the script, but when we come to the directing, we actually choose the location, we choose the shot, how it's going to be composed. Okay, it's from the start to the end. We had to plan that shot because it's we are working with a limited budget. We are working with a lot of limitations, and same time we have to maintain some kind of authenticity because it's a historical movie. We cannot do as we want, but we would love to do that, but we couldn't. So we come up with these small ideas like plans, uh, to keep the accuracy as much as possible and same time create the shots actually we needed in within the limitation but same time impactful. So actually as Chatra mentioned, it was the key movement for us. If you're talking about the directing and screenwriting, that was the advantage we actually got from studying in MMU and doing those projects.
Yeah, and allow me to add something to it. When it comes to directing, it's not all about verbal communication, right? It's not the person with a phone just sitting on a
Yeah.
director shouting out the instructions. So during the pre-production stage, we were able to compile our ideas onto a paper, and everyone in the production crew had an idea about the film before going into the film. So we had given the instructions way before. We have given our treatment way before. So that
Based on
was
that, we
only
actually knew what we need.
yeah, that was only possible because of the relentless, post-production process we actually did before the film. Every department had an idea, and they were able to communicate easily within those departments. And there were mm, very few uh, conflicts, I would say. I mean, I'm not saying there were no conflicts, but there were very, very few conflicts.
Yes. Okay. Maybe I will. There was one more question. One last question, because we're almost running out of time now.
Yeah.
Okay, so I would marry this question because actually you all of you already answered certain of the questions over here. That's why I didn't bring it up during the talk. They're just like, you can predict what kind of questions they actually want to ask. Um, but then I would ask something that some probably didn't think about this. If you were to hire anyone, a student, let's say a fresh graduate, what kind of skills that you would actually look for?
Hmm. Uh, okay,
Uh, you go.
we can say something like this for and because I'm kind of a lead CG artist and he's the lead visual effects artist. So, if you are looking for somebody from my department to work with in the CG assets wise, uh, definitely the technicality, definitely how they are going to the discipline, and same times the skill. Uh, but more than that, I believe I would see how much effort that person put to create that particular thing. Because there are students who I have actually worked with. I can see that actually, if you don't put a lot of effort into your models or whatever things you do, it actually reflects in your work. Anybody who has knowledge about CG or something easily can spot it. So uh, I would say the effort that person put and the discipline, that was the main thing I would look for. And Chatra, he has to explain regarding VFX.
Yeah, I mean, similar requirement from my side as well. Motivation, drive to learn, right? I mean, again, you have to actually advance yourself every minute uh, by again do a lot of researching and all. At the same time, when it comes to VFX, there are certain particular things I would actually check. If I were to check their portfolio, I would always look how much attention that person had given to details. Right, that is very important when it comes to visual effects, and especially when you're actually doing visual effects for film. Unlike we are doing visual effects for small formats like phone screen or a TV screen. When it comes to film, everything is larger than life, and all those details need, all those intricate details need a lot of attention. And if a person were to give a lot of attention to it, we know that this guy is quite, mm, his drive is there. I mean, basically, he commits himself to this, and he wants to get the best out of it, and in terms of the content and all. So apart from motivation, drive to learn the skills, and I would, when it comes to visual effects and stuff, I would definitely check his attention to detail.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Brata. Thank you so much, Mr. Chatra. Um, we gained a lot today, and such a such a warm and welcoming, and everything that you actually gave us to us. I think it meant a lot for our students, especially these days. They really need those actual industrial experience that you actually like marry them together with how you were in the past with MMU itself, so they have a relation in terms of how you feel, and also like they will feel that, hey, one day I would like to become mini Berta and also mini Chatra. We never know what might become
I
in the
hope not. To be Yeah, maybe they become themselves rather than
Yeah.
future. Yeah, it will have envisioned towards it. Okay,
Yeah.
so without further ado, thank you so much. Would you like to have anything lastly to say, perhaps, for
Uh,
the
I
students?
want to mention a small thing. Once my friend told me, uh, we don't come to the university to learn how to do things. We comes to the university to learn how to learn. And keep that in mind. I think students should keep that in mind. I kept in mind.
Thank you so much,
Uh,
Berta.
just
Mr.
that
Chatra.
I would like to I think that's like the best advice you can give anyone. And also I would like to basically take this time to thank for giving us this opportunity, because it's such a privilege for us to actually be part of this uh, as alumni, and something that we would like to continuously do in the future as well. So for students, if you feel free to actually, you feel free, you just feel free to ask anything you like. We can share our emails or any other contact details. Just if there's anything that you would like to uh, get support from, we are also there as well. So all the best with your future work.
Thank you
Thank
very much.
you. Thank you so much.
See you.
See you
Bye
there.
See
bye.
you. See
Bye.
you.
You
Take care, guys.
take care. Okay. All right, guys. We're gonna go move on to our second session with Mr. Steve Chong. We will begin in about 4 minutes, so stay tuned. Hi, hello. Welcome back to Beyond the Classroom AFX in Multimedia University. Okay, so for the second session, I would like to introduce you our awesome speakers, Mr. Steve Chong, Head of Compositing Department from Base FX. Hello, Mr. Steve. How are you?
Hello. Good evening.
Evening.
Yeah. So the voice will come from the other.
Okay, is that right? We will compete together.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Before we begin, allow me to introduce a little bit about your biography first. Okay. So, Mr. Steve Chong is a UQ graduate in animation with over a decade of experience in high-end compositing for films. Some of his notable works include the Oscar in Life of Pi and upcoming shows for Marvel Studios. Currently, he is leading the team in VaseFX Kuala Lumpur. He is also active in teaching and outreaching for local institutions. He hopes to build a strong community of VFX in artists for Malaysia. All right. Did I get it right, Mr. Steve?
Oh, perfect. Absolutely.
Thank you so much. So, without further ado, I would like to invite Mr. Steve to be presenting about the workflow of visual effects pipelines and how to get the show out there from start to end. Okay. Without further ado, I present to you Mr. Steve.
All right. Thank you, Shakira. Like, good evening, everyone. I'm Steve. So I'm representing Base FX today. So before we start to go through the stuff, I hope to just run you down the company's profile and just to introduce you all to what we have been doing and what we have been doing it locally and proudly here in Malaysia. And yeah, it's late. It's 9, so I try to make it as light as possible. We'll share a screen. Is the presentation working? No, it's not. Wait, hold on. Sharing. All right. I need to. And this one. All right. This should work.
Okay.
All right, it works now. All right, so we are Base FX. We are basically an international company. Started up in Beijing, but it's a international company with a joint venture with LA. So basically, we have a Hollywood expertise and also a bit of an Eastern flair to it. So our company has been the leading VFX producer in Asia, especially in a greater part of East Asia like China. So not only domestic market, we are also involved in a lot of international level movies. So basically, FX is formed in 2003 between a partnership, renowned Beijing VFX training school. Our founder Chris Bramble with a goal of creating VFX for independent films in Hollywood. So it has been a very great exposure for the Chinese artists. So at the same time, when Base FX comes to KL also, it helps to enrich, give us more opportunity in Malaysia to develop world-class artists as well. So it's very in line to previously what we have been doing in Rhythm and Hues, a different companies, also has been grooming and growing a lot of talents in Malaysia. So Base FX would be also the people that will try to continue this legacy, although we are a different company. So in Base FX, we have 4 wings to say. So we have BFX, which is doing visual effects, BAM, which work on high-end animation, feature films. Our latest Wish Dragon has been critically acclaimed and is on Netflix as well. It is one of the top animation last year as well, in terms of feature animation. So it's on par with some of the big names out there. So of course, Base Pictures itself is a publishing unit, so they develop and publish their films. And lastly, Base Academy is something like a academy. So in Beijing, they will enrich students, doing masterclass and things like that. And of course, for me to share with you guys, it's been a pleasure. So we have a variety of work over the years. As you can see, we have things all the way from 2009 to 2021, like very big pipeline, all the big names, including Age of Ultron, Jurassic World, Pacific Rim, all kinds of things. So we are very visual effects centric company, and also we have our own feature arm, which is, you can see, we develop our own films. So here are some of the examples. And some of the recognitions here, we do have, quite extensive work here. And yeah, we are operating from Bangsa South in KL. So we went back to work since last November. It was quite a interesting transition, coming back working from home for at least 1.5 years to 2 years, and then you have to jump back to the office life again. Things have to adjust. So I'm pretty sure as a student, some student has been doing online classes only, and then to jump back to classroom interaction, there's a lot of adjustment. At some point you even forget how to talk to people, right? Now I would just talk to people like, I'm not looking at them. I'm just like, yeah. So it has been a very interesting year, 2 years for us as artists, as people who are working, as including educators, right? Changing into.
True. Sometimes we have a little bit of that awkwardness to just get back on the line. Mrs. Chang, sorry to
Mhm.
interrupt. Is it possible if we can make the screen to be landscape instead of portrait?
Yes, I can, because I have a main screen which is portrait.
Ah,
Oh, sorry, landscape.
yeah.
And then I don't know why it keep sending it to that little screen there. Let me try and fix it. Yeah, let me try and
Okay,
fix it.
don't worry. Take your time.
Give me a second. Oh, Windows sometimes is quite annoying. Let me switch it around. Yeah, by the way, when we work with a Linux system. So
Ah,
so we seldom work with Windows, but
I
sometimes we.
understand. I used to work with Linux as well before this, and it's totally different.
Yeah, we love it that way, but I'll just do a quick one. Oh, no wonder it's. Windows, when they update, they change your settings.
Yes, every single time they
Yeah,
would do it.
I was wondering why the small monitor is main, the big one is. All right, let me find
We
where
have
to.
plenty more time. You can
Yeah, yeah. I try not to bore people up as well.
can.
Okay, make this my main display. Why is the button off? You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna switch out the monitor. It will do the trick. Give me a moment. All right, now we have one monitor. Where is my slide? So how are you guys this week?
These days, we already started face-to-face classes, so the students are very nervous at first, but nowadays they it's like the university is their playground. These days, yeah.
Finally.
How things in base effects? Everyone is working like face-to-face as well, right? They already started
Yes.
some time ago already.
Mhm. Yeah, 9 months. Finally, we got settled down. There was some kind of a COVID scare here and there, For the
Mm-hmm.
past few months has been very extreme, the cases
Yes,
and things.
true. In terms of things, But if like, but the business, I guess the business is still blooming in base effects. I see like the projects coming in, like so many of them in terms of
Yes.
like
Speaking about the industry, yeah, we have been picking up because well, I might as well share it here, right? Since it's a sharing. During the pandemic, there is a rise in demand of content because people are at home most of the time. So we've been producing enough for the pandemic, but we have not enough time to replenish the new stuff because shooting are stopped. So throughout almost end of last year or mid of the year, we almost ran out of content. You never heard of that?
I
You're running
see.
out of content to make.
I
So
see.
people have been rushed to shoot, and now we have a boom. We have surplus of work
Oh my,
keep
it's
coming
like a
in.
tsunami of work coming
Yeah,
in.
yeah,
Wow.
because they want to fill up their Disney Plus, all their little, whatever Apple Plus,
Yeah.
Astro Beyond, and a lot of people trying to fill up their channels again. So they do it in a rush way. So things has been booming, and then it's a good news for us, and also good news for I guess young coming artists when they are going out into the industry. There's many more opportunities, both in Malaysia and out of Malaysia. So it is a great times for artists lah.
Um,
The last 2 years have been very tough.
it is very tough in terms of like really, even the students. I guess some of them graduating with online learning. So I think they are trying to adapt with like how the industry is these days as well.
Yes, that's very true.
And they
And
are
also,
here to actually listen to you at the same time.
yeah, uh, I think people are gotten finally very comfortable with working from home. So there are some studios nowadays we do hybrid.
Ah, I
So
see.
so there is some core hours you need to spend in the office, and there would be some hours you just stay at home and do the work.
Does
So
Base Effects practice that as well?
currently not yet. We are trying to push it because we can see that it's a lot of benefits on both sides. You free up the recent traffic jams.
Hmm.
A lot of people talking about
Yes,
traffic and commuting.
the traffic is very
Bad.
challenging these days. Anywhere is like that these days. Um, for base effects, usually, what kind of skills do base effects look for young graduates?
We look for we look for VFX artists mostly, and also currently we are growing the animation team, the feature animation team. So we require people that are very good at character animation. So if you have a strong VFX reel, of course it will be put into consideration, especially for my department compositing. So I need some compositors. So somebody that has Houdini background who
Ah,
can jump into doing some 3D, or we have 3D background. We would like things like lighter.
I see.
Yeah, so I might as well jump into the second presentation so that we can clarify these kind of things as well.
Okay.
Let me start the slide. Is it showing for you?
Okay, wait for it. I think it's processing.
Because I don't have Microsoft Office here, I'm using Libre, and it is messing up my setup. One small joke. I thought it was this morning, so I get everything prepared
Oh,
early morning, and then I even bug Lynn, and then I hope she's she's not busy or something. I bug Lynn. It's like, oh my god, what happened? Where's the talk? Where's all the people?
oh. You're mistaken the PM, AM, and PM, I
Yes,
guess.
yes. Sorry lah, compositors has no night and day.
It's okay.
just,
I
just
understand.
joking. I don't want to scare people off the industry.
But at the same time, you're telling the truth.
I'm kidding. I'm going. I actually went home like 5 something.
Oh, that's quite early then.
Usually, let's just say when we're busy, we might do a bit of crunch. But when it's off days, we just go on time, like 9 to 5 kind of thing.
I see.
That's
Okay.
also something that I preach. Okay, so yeah, so
Let's go.
my company profile slide is not playing for some reason. I'm just going to skip it. So this one is here, so which is my main topic. So today I'm going to share about something that is not oftenly talked, a bit of the business side of things, because I'm sure a lot of the students will be familiar with the pipeline roughly, animation, compositing, modeling, texturing. So it'll be a bit of a, something just extra for people to listen again. But today I'm prepared something that is like talking about how a show is awarded, something like a Marvel's Avenger that first come to the studio. How do we tackle it? So usually when a vendor or a production company, like for example Marvel, has plans for, let's say, Thor: Love and Thunder coming out next week, please check it out. It's a hint. Please check it out. So yes, so they will be looking for VFX shops like us to do the work. So they will usually sometimes hand up two things, which is the script, or sometimes they have a post-with pre-visualization. So which is like an animatic or a storyboard. So our VFX supervisor and producer will go and do a bid. So to check what is the cost of this, what kind of effects based on the script. So they will do an initial bid. Okay, this costs 20 million. So, and then they will bring it to the meeting with the director and the client, producers, and visual supervisor to discuss. Sometimes, you say, hey, it's too expensive as usual, business, you do some haggling. So it'll be like, hey, you are too expensive. Can you bring down the cost? And then, the creative team will discuss with the director and supervisor, like, hey, we find that, in the script, you have this sequence that have a big explosion and things like that. It's very expensive. Do you want to change it to something like this, which can be cheaper? So this kind of negotiation will go through. So maybe the director will be a bit more adamant. Oh yes, I want this, but maybe we can reduce it here. So that kind of discussion. So after you come to an agreement, you will do a final bid again. Sometimes it can go a few rounds as usual.
Yes.
So once you reach a final bid and then everyone is happy, awarded. Yay, happy. Congratulations, you have your first show. So this kind of thing can be applied to yourself, an artist, also as a freelancer. Sometimes you get a job, so you need to calculate yourself. Is this job worth your time? Can you sustain yourself with this job? How long you need and things like that. So this sometimes works as a individual also. So I think I will open to more questions later if people want to ask about this, because it can be a bit more interesting the way bidding is. Yeah. So here are the starting point of a VFX show, bidding. So all this will be done, and then who are the key people? Of course, just now I mentioned just now VFX supervisor and the producer. So these are the most highest rank in the studio in terms of producing the video or producing the movie or a show. We call it show. There will be a general manager and operations manager and administrations, but they are not involved in making the movie. They are supporting, making sure the office runs, things like that. So when it comes to creative short production, the head of everything is the VFX supervisor. You always see this visual effects supervisor. It's a very important person because it will handle all the department supervisors and all the department leads. So these two can be interchanged, depends on how large the project is. If it's small, maybe the lead can be a supervisor, or the supervisor is just a lead, depends on how complex, how big the show is. So on the other side is project management is also very important, often overlooked. Often talent is overlooked, right? Because sometimes, a lot of times they just say that, oh, you don't cut for an artist, I'll just throw you to project management. Sometimes, which is I would say it's not a proper way to treat artists, or or a proper way to get beginner production people, because the skill sets is different. Artists needs to produce, and but management people need to manage. So it's so every time there is a learning curve for both sides. So on project management, the biggest guys on top, girl or madam on top, will be a producer. On down there will be a production manager and coordinator. So all this will work together to make sure every single department are talking to each other, make sure the artist gets all the required information to do the work. And the same time, this usually are creative people and the management people will fight lah. Because there will always be guys like on time, give me this, I want this, I want this, I want this.
Yep.
And here it's like, we need time, art cannot be rushed.
Yes.
So there always are internal conflict. So the VFX supervisor will usually deal with the director or the client VFX supervisor. His headache is always director's request. Sometimes you want to, we have experience where we make a dragon red, and after we complete all the way until composite, and then he changed his mind, he wants it black and look like a Pokemon. So you have to redo everything.
The lighting also have to be think about because it's black and
Yes. So everything from the stage. Or sometimes director is like, he approved an animation, he's just like, okay, let's change the animation, but we already did all the stage. So you have to repeat.
the
So-
pain.
Yes, so the pain of a VFX supervisor to deal with sudden changes and also unexpected things coming from the client. While the producer will be the one that headache on the money side.
Yes.
Because once you do a big change, you might set back another 3 months. Is the client going to pay you another 3 months?
Definitely no.
So their side, they will argue all this kind of thing. Our side will figure out, oh my God, how to go and redo the animation and start again. So these are the people who are handling those things. So once all these guys are settled down, they know what to do. So the producer will count how many artists you need and things like that. And finally, we can start to assemble our Avengers.
Yes.
Not so much the heroes, probably someone behind there. Because the next slide you see, like, so many people involved. Look at all these people. So these are the foot soldier. These are the guys that do all the hard work, every single one of them. So we have people. So you asked just now, how people, get into the industry or what is required. So these are almost all the departments that we are required. We have people who are good at art, drawings. We have people who collect set data, organize them, because when they go to shoot, they'll write down. Because nowadays, when we do CG work, live action, we integrate a lot of 3D, so we have to match camera and things like that. So a person will have to, go down there and write down every single shot, what lens, what focal length, and even the aperture size, up to all the details they can find, they have to write it down. So that when you do 3D, you try to replicate the same camera, same angle, and same feel of it, even the distortion of it. So BG Prep, and is also known as paint and roto department. Usually it's beginners. Beginner compositors have to suffer here. So I did at least 1.5 to 2 years here. If you are brilliant, 8 months, you'll be a compositor. If you need a bit more time, I would say average is about 1.5 years. Or you are a bit more weaker, you need more time to develop, probably 2 years plus. So that is around the time frame that I can share with you. That how. And speaking of compositing, and we have a MMU graduate.
Oh.
8 months enough. In fact, even 6 months now. Good stuff. You guys are producing good work. Very, very good quality of students. 8 months compositor, junior.
That must be so proud.
Yes, I'm proud of the institution as well. It's like good talent. So yeah, so don't be disheartened. Always grind. If you're not everyone can be top, but everyone can be good if you put the 99% hard work, right?
Yeah, true.
So yeah, moving on, I digress. So we have modeling, people and texturing. So in visual effects, usually modelers and texturers are separate people. This
Mhm.
is a bit you know, unheard of, in other departments, maybe like games and stuff like that, where the modelers are the guys that do the UV and do the what you call texturing and look depth. So in the visual effects pipeline, most of them they are art department, but they might have specific roles like texture artists, make very realistic texture, while the modelers will do very realistic or model a certain creature up to a certain realism. So they are separate out. So and then finally, look dev are the people that do the shaders, make sure the character has the look and feel that is correct, which overlap with lighting. A lot of smaller studios or different kind of workflow. Lighting is always doing the shaders as well. Even lighting is doing compositing as well. Light and com, they usually do it. So in visual effects, we tend to have it separate. So the look dev guys will do look dev and shading. The lighting will do just lighting. They will do a very good light, and most likely they do what we call a slap com, is just take a background and put the character in and just render it out for reviews. While the compositors is the person that is in charge of putting every single thing together.
Yep.
So in visual effects, it's a bit more separated compared to some other, kind of animation. Say, of course, I left out here. Forget, sorry. FX is the what I mentioned just now. Some guys that are doing all the Houdini explosion, things cracking, and all sort of things. Environment also, mostly sometimes we have matte painters to do paint background. So later on, I will show some reels, then you can have a look at. I'm sure people seen a lot, but I'm still going to show it anyway.
We would love to watch it.
Oh, nice. So yeah, so there will be matte paints. So a lot of things can't just rely on renders and 3D, so it consume time and something that you have one angle, you just might as well just paint a very nice picture and then just use it. It's much more economical as well than keep rendering things, which
Yeah.
is very, very expensive.
Yes.
Just a note lah. Our electric bill can cost more than a few 100,000 a month. When you go max out the render farm, it
Oh my
is using a lot of energy. So it comes to, in the future, we might need to think of something is more green,
Yes.
efficient.
Oh, the render farm must be so.
Yeah, it's very noisy and hot.
Yeah.
Uh, so those kind of thing. Yeah, so in the future, they might want to talk about something more green, ESG.
True. True.
So yeah, so a lot of hidden costs. People thought like, I'm not polluting the environment. I'm just doing my work. I'm recycling. But sometimes when our work itself consumes a lot of energy that nobody realize,
Yep.
unless you're the boss who are forking the bill.
Yes.
Yeah, I go to office and come back, right? Where's my coffee? Why the coffee machine is not working?
Oh my god. We still think of the electricity for what?
Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of hidden costs.
Mm.
So on the right side here, we have softline, pipeline, system, and render. So you come back to render again. So apart from artistic roles, so anybody from MMU who is a bit more technical, who loves programming, who doesn't want to do a 9 to 5 job in a fintech bank, or service some back-end databases, they can also consider themselves joining the creative industry. Although you don't have to worry that you say, oh, I don't have any artistic background, or I don't know how to do Maya and 3D. So there are things like, tools development, pipeline. Pipeline is almost like how data transfer from all these departments. As you can see that everyone is working concurrently.
Yes.
So everyone will need to get their updates as soon as possible. If animation publish something, rigging will update, texture will change, environment will change. So we want it to be seamless. Every time any department updates, our work is still continuous. It's not like, like what I mentioned just now, a client asks you to change something, then you have to restart all this.
Yeah.
So we have to make sure everything flows smoothly so that every time we change something, everything will trickle down smoothly. So pipeline guys are very important, and it's also well sought after in Malaysia. So not just visual effects companies, some gaming companies as well need now. As you know, there is a big boom in games in Malaysia now. So a
Yes.
lot of tech and support people are needed.
Needed so much in terms of making, in other words, everything to be in order, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And also think of it this way, you can get a credit in movies and in your games as well. When you see the screen roll, you will see your name up there, so you are part of the team, you know.
Yeah.
It's the back end people are as important as people in front. Don't forget that. So system is the guys that control all the computer system to make sure render farm is running and things like that. And lastly, the render input and output. So this guy will be a guy that generally will be handling, make sure data is stored and moved correctly. So imagine we have 50 people working on so many things. Another things that people don't imagine is that even the servers can get traffic jam.
Yep.
So it gets very slow. So especially everybody want things now, tomorrow. Oh, send it out for client review, things like that. So it can get a bit hectic. So maintaining the systems and also render performance is very important to the company as well. So those kind of things are the back end and also things that people that can venture into, or at least get a foot into the industry. If there's
Yeah.
someone that is really really interested in visual effects and doing visuals, but they don't have any artistic background. For example, if you are a very good programmer and you somehow have an innate talent, you know how to judge pretty things, look at pictures, you have maybe hobby as a photography or things like that, painting, but you never seek it out professionally. But you're good at programming, you can, you have artistic sense. Sometimes, you can learn how to do FX.
Mm-hmm.
FX is very complicated sometimes. If you have programming, you have an edge. That kind of thing. So let's say I am a science background. Actually, people ask me what do I study. I'm a science stream student. So when I jump into art, I don't feel that things are wasted because I'm working on a very high tech industry, right? Very complicated. So I know refraction index, hukum Snell, sine theta divided by sine theta. So I can tell my colleague last time or my student last time, your reflection look weird because you put the wrong index. Because my classmate would be from the art background. He'd be like, "What the hell are you talking about?" No, sine 1.52. Try it. So it's always a very humbling experience learning from each other.
Yeah.
I do pick up a lot of art things. No, he will tell me, "Why you paint this way?" I say, "Logical, right? Paint like that." So no, art is a bit more feeling. Your shadows. Don't put black color, put dark purple. You look better. So it's always kind of knowledge exchange kind of thing. So yeah, people from tech can jump to art, and art itself can jump to tech. Those vice versa. So yeah, so there is a lot of opportunities out there for beginners, but you just need to grind it out and seek out the entry point, foot in the door, I call it. So once you are in, then you can start to develop your career and see how you want to build from it. All right, so those are the big chunk
Line.
of pipeline here. So of course, I prefer a bit more interaction. So I would love people to ask more questions so that I can dive in deeply.
Can.
Yeah.
I myself have a question actually.
Oh, great. Come, come.
Okay. Among all of the pipeline, can you tell me which one that you have been through
Oh,
in Piece of X? So
in my career.
yes.
In Base FX, I'm just calm because I have reached the stage that this is my kampong, my home.
Alright.
Throughout my career, I started out as an animator.
Okay.
And then I did some texturing. I found out that I'm good with all the techie stuff, so I did some rigging as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I settled down a lot in comp and FX. So finally, when I come into the VFX industry, that is when I switched from doing a local animation company to a VFX company back in
Mm-hmm.
2009. So I reset my whole career. So I started out as a BG prep artist. I'm just doing roto and paint, which I'm grateful that's where I learned a bit of the fundamentals that I need. So after that, I move on to be a compositor, a senior compositor, lead compositor. Now at least reach a supervisory level in comms. So I work directly with the visual effects supervisor and other supervisors in daily tasks. So basically, it's almost half a circle here, lah. Half.
Yeah, looking into it.
Yeah,
You've been so long in the industry as well. And
yeah, yeah. I would like to say my modeling is the weakest, so you can see that I never touch it.
modeling part.
Yeah,
Does it involve like sculpting as well, like, in terms of like, or is it just like in base effects? Do you guys do like sculpting or like combination of all everything from hard surface to organic modeling?
I don't have details from my asset supervisor. I didn't manage to catch him today, but as far as I know, usually modeling usually involves hard surface modeling, whether it's Maya or Max, and then you have to do some sculpting, and also you have to go back and retopo it lah. You cannot run
Ah,
because you are dealing with animation. You need to have a good topology for animation. So yes, sculpting is a good gauge of how good a modeler is. Things like ZBrush or Modo is a good software to learn. So do some sculpts there, and then that will show the fundamentals. So even I would recommend students to do, if they have chance, to live sculpting with hand. Get some clay, get someone to teach live sculpting. It's just like when you want to do drawing, fundamentals is always there. Before you do animation or any other thing, live drawing and painting is important. So it trains the fundamental. So to have strong modeling sense, a live sculpt would complement the career, or it will transfer well into 3D modeling. It's just a different tool, right? One is virtual,
yeah.
one is hands-on, you can touch it.
Yep.
So yeah, I would recommend learning how to sculpt, because form and structure proportions are key in modeling.
To really truly understand the spatial of a distance between one 2D and then you translate into 3D, right?
Yes.
The depth and everything.
Mhm.
But that also, I myself, I used to touch compositing before this as well.
Mhm.
I'm a junior compositing before this.
Oh, nice. Hi.
Hi, hello. Well, I'm just a junior once. So yes, Roto was my everyday life back then, and then beauty prep and everything.
Yeah.
I still do some of the time to just like refresh a bit about
Mm.
things. But for compositing, can you tell us like the most challenging existence work that you've done so far? The most challenging compositing that every single time you see that, oh, this is like my masterpiece of all time.
Sure. I used to have one. Then after that, it started to have many. Then I start to lost track of it. Because we work through so many shows.
Yeah.
So once a while there will be some shows that you make you feel like, oh. My specialty a lot of time is doing interactions with characters. So some of those very hard ones are like animated characters like a Yogi
Mhm.
Bear or Alvin and Chipmunks, that kind of thing. They are touching the humans.
Yeah.
So I will need to make sure they are really look like they are touching. Because a lot of people thought like, everything come out from the render and you just put it in the picture, just put a roto, everything will look perfect. I would say it's far from perfect. In fact, it's opposite. When you look at it, you almost cry and you die inside. It's like, oh my God. True story. My first trial in compositing, I almost gave up.
Mm.
Because I'm happy doing like BG prep and roto at that time. It's like, just paint off some wires, do a roto, make sure it sticks. It's fine. You just pass it on and get it approved. So my supervisor is like, since you guys are free, I'll let you all try do some compositing. So once I put in all the elements, I'm kind of happy, right? Like, yes, I finally do something complicated. I bring in the roto, put in the light, put in the FX. Then you realize it doesn't look good. Right. It's far from looking good. Then I look at my supervisor and it's like, do I need to fix all this? He said, of course. Oh, okay. That's my job. I almost died inside. It's so tough. It felt so difficult. Every single simple task itself, it feel like so difficult. But after I go to 2-3 shows, so many years of it, I think I felt quite normalized. It's like, oh, this is what we're supposed to do. Just do it. So it has gotten easier also over the years. So it comes from experience and all the kind of things. So yeah, I have one too many. I think Percy Jackson, there has the guy walking, half of his body is the animal, half of the body is the human. So we have to make sure everything's put together. And then there is a lot of people moving around bicycle. It's a campus student pushing bike, people talking, running, walking. So it's very painful. Took like a few months to do it. So one of the memorable ones. I guess some of the we did some of the Boba Fett last year. Book of Boba Fett. It's quite fun. Dark sabers and splashes. I won't bore you guys. The unfun part is to do the very bad keyings and roto and things like that. But later on, maybe I'll show some reels. It will look fun. But just remember, it's quite painful.
And
Appreciate it a bit.
Sure. Maybe would you like to show it to us then?
Yes, sure. So I'm sure I will show tricks. So tricks is this is a big budget feature, I guess. I'll show tricks because this is a code name for the Last Jedi, I think. Or Rise of Skywalker, one of it.
Oh.
All right, this is one of them. So yeah, one of my favorite things to do is it's not very interesting, but I usually appreciate things like this. You know, you just make something nice background. Just make it seamless and nobody notice. So those are the kind of invisible effects that I personally enjoy. Might not be the most fun, but when we put together, it's very convincing that you actually thought it's a full set.
Yes. With
And
everything, even the lighting as well, your base actually like enhance it in terms of like how to make it look sci-fi.
yes, so we usually don't do the final grade, but we will match everything same like this, like on the right side, which is the plate, we call it. So and then the client might do a bit of color correction to make it more gray. So some of the hidden challenge of this kind of shot, like people thought it's like it's a just put something, right? So you look at the markers on the reflection here, the spill, the green here,
Yep.
and then
A
you
lot
have
of green there.
yeah, then you have a lot of shiny parts that when you key out, you become like belubang. There's hole everywhere. So there's a lot of cleanup to do, but the result come out is very nice. It's very smooth. Like I like it, and I also come to appreciate of all these film grains. If you notice, because we don't use film to shoot anymore, so this is digital grain that is matching to digital cam, but it gives a fuzzy feeling to it. Make it more cinematic. Usually the fun shots are these kind of shots. Pew pew, a lot of action.
Oh.
So this kind of thing people really enjoy. I do enjoy as well. Make things explode and things like that. But these are like
artists must be having lots of fun doing this one as well.
painful but fun. I don't think the compositor will have more fun. The roto and the paint guys will be cursing. But yeah, this will be the kind of example that is very fun to do a lot. lens flare,
Do they have the reflection down there as well in the first plate?
For CG ones, we usually replicate. So for those in the plate, you will see it's in the plate. So for all this, if there's any CG, maybe Chewy is CG here, so you have to replace it. So you have to do a same reflection.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have to match the blur. So good question though. Good question though. When it comes to reflection, it means that guy have to roto this guy as well in the reflection.
Yeah.
Because it's behind. So yeah, there's a lot of hidden work that goes on sometimes. We don't expect as well. Like until we do it, it's like, oh no, we need a roto for the reflection guy.
Yes.
So you have to go in and do it. So yeah, so this is tricks, fun show, and then we have a couple more. I just brought up Star Wars because I guess this is the in thing these few days lah. Huh?
Yeah.
So we have also, this is a more generic review, so you can see all the other shows we do. All right, that's the short clip of it. Yeah, so those are some of the animation produced, both in Malaysia and also internationally. Collab between artists.
Anak jati Malaysia tu. Wah. Yeah, Malaysian people can produce such work. Wow.
Mm,
It's really like, even the big names are also Base of Facts handling the projects.
yeah,
Was quite an experience to actually really, really go for that.
yeah, it has been a good exposure for a lot of people in Malaysia, as the industry has been steadily developing up and down. I mean, it has been good. So there's a lot of there's also a lot of Malaysians, both locally and overseas, working on films nowadays. So if you go into cinema, you will spot some Malaysian-looking names. You will probably they are probably Malaysians.
Yeah. And the credit scene, right? And then you will see,
Yeah,
how come the names is very Malaysian?
yeah, yeah,
It's easily spotted.
yeah. So it's not surprised that it's done by a Malaysian. So yeah, hip hip hooray to the artists in Malaysia. We should continue to keep on develop, to get a better foothold as in the region. So in the region as Southeast Asia, at least, I think Malaysian artists are still some of the best, the strong ones.
Mr. Steve, what is
Yes.
your visionary in terms of VFX for Malaysia actually? Because you mentioned things about you would like to broaden it in terms of
Yeah, I would like to, my biggest the dream or sort of like vision or things that I want to see in Malaysia is to have, maybe a more bigger companies inside Malaysia, or also maybe a lot of local companies that have international exposure. Like what I mentioned just now, the pipeline accounting. So I want to see like, there is some group of people in Malaysia or companies in Malaysia that keen to develop this kind of workflow, so that so it's a world-class pipeline lah, we call it, so that jobs from around the world can easily be transferred, because nowadays the work no longer stay in one country.
yeah.
Like like this, like I mentioned just now, Thor: Love and Thunder is coming out. It's done in the whole world. I can call anyone, my friends in any part of the world, Australia, China, Malaysia, India, all the way to Vancouver, England, everywhere. So we can laugh at it and say, oh, everybody is doing Love and Thunder. So yeah, I hope that, besides Base FX, there's other companies around also to be able to have a international pipeline and also workflow and people there to support it so that, a lot of all these talents can exchange globally. You learn from me, I learn from you, that kind of thing.
Such a strong statement you get there, but yeah, but how you say, but how you explain, it's just a matter of phone call, it's just a matter of email, it's just a matter of Discord. You can actually like interact with people around the world, and then the standards we can actually bring it in. Oh, like how we were to imagine back then, back in 20 years, how we never really been here before, right?
Yeah.
These days.
Yeah, I never imagined that when I first started to, I just simply enroll into become an animator just because I thought it's fun. I'm quite skeptical. It's like scary. And it's like, is there any jobs for me or no? I'll end up doing something weird after that. Here am I, after like 10, 15 years, I'm still in the industry, which is also very grateful. And there's no slowing down, it seems, in terms of entertainment and consumption wise in terms of media. No, there's new Squid Game in announced, There's like Money Heist, another season,
Yeah.
So it has been a very exciting industry and time. A lot of content is out there.
True. um how you actually transform from just like study animation, and then you actually become a compositor these days. So would you kindly like give some advice to students who actually like go through the same journey as you? What would advice that would you like to actually tell them?
I think first thing is to be a bit open-minded. The reason why I was an animator because my lecturer is someone who's passionate about character animation. So everybody should be character animator. I tried my very best. I have reached a certain standard, but I wasn't Hollywood standard. I couldn't reach it. I think I wouldn't reach it because I'm not very good at acting, kaku. When I was in university, I'm not sure whether the lecturer is insulting me or encouraging me. British people lah. So I say I'm not very good with expression. I find it very I find it very hard to do, struggling to do facial animation. Then he told me, Roger Moore, famous James Bond. He is bad at acting. He just move his eyebrow up and down. And he's a famous actor. You can do that for your animation as well. He just said just move the eyebrow up and down. I was like, sarcasm. I don't know. But anyway, yeah. Keep yourself open-minded. Just explore. Sometimes you so focused on one small thing, you forgot to see the other things. Same thing when I try to do animation, but I also exposed to other things, so I try other things. I feel that suddenly, why I'm more comfortable in this than I'm doing animation, where I have to learn more and struggle more. A lot of things like very hard to get into myself. Although I feel like if you really put like force feed yourself 10,000 hours above, you might be somewhere. But I find that I enjoy this, and then I can learn and do it a bit faster. So I decided to give it a try. It's not something that I don't like. So I jump on and go on from there, and then I got better and better and better, and it start going. And then finally I found that maybe this is my calling. This is something that I can do well and I enjoy, and then I keep learning. Even to today, I still learn about things. So for students, I feel that just go and explore. So that's why I don't always feel that you should put yourself in a corner so soon. Like, oh, I'm an animator, I must just do animation. My animation is bad. I just keep doing it. I just stop doing other things. So you might miss out some other opportunities, or or how to say sometimes you have different kind of talent or inspiration that you just blocked out, that you didn't manage to explore until like maybe later on you feel like I should have done this, I should have done that. So that kind of thing would be very helpful. just keep on learning, read, taking in inputs, and just feel about everything.
Okay. Yeah. See, guys, remember, always keep fighting for what you think is good for you, and also, it's like what the previous speaker mentioned. It's almost the same as what Mr. Steve mentioned. Be free and also really explore, do research. You need to actually broaden your spectrum. Do not just be in a box. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's very easy to get into a box because you're so focused on doing things,
Yeah.
doing. Then you
You're
start to.
doing that.
But to be a great artist, you must always be free, absorb. Sometimes I even look at flowers and see beautiful, beautiful flower. Not like I like flowers, right? So I just look at it and see, you know, just to stimulate the mind a bit. Look at some random things. It's like I only like to listen to heavy metal, but why don't I try pop, jazz, fusion? I can pick up something else different from there. So
Exploring the new you and
mm,
the new potential you.
I
Yeah.
still enjoy my stuff like heavy metal, but I still go explore Justin Bieber. It's quite fun. Once in a while. Even BTS, like what the hell, right? It's not something that I like, but when I go and appreciate it and understand what they are trying to achieve, I say, oh, it's actually quite good. Things like that.
It's still the effort that they actually really put into it to produce such work. It's the
Yeah,
same as us as artists as well.
yeah. So you always need to explore, see what outside can complement your core your core fundamental art that you want to do.
True. Okay, Mr. Steve, any final words that you want to actually sampaikan and go from base effect itself, and also anything from you?
So I don't have much. I think we all be like some nagging uncle like that, boomer, okay, boomer
No
kind of
lah,
thing.
maybe you're.
because it seems like we are nagging the same things. So I guess most of us as artists, this is our journey lah. So we have come almost one full circle lah, not yet lah, half day lah. So we have a bit of mileage a bit. So we have experienced all this as a student until early career, mid career, and almost late career kind of thing. All kind of spectrum. So maybe our advice might end up almost the same. Just now I was listening a bit snippet on the previous speaker. I was like, not yes, yeah. So I guess eventually, all artists will reach this point lah. Because you really go and explore, whether you willingly explore or you are put into the situation.
Yes.
So I guess when MMU and like you all call us a speaker, we end up become like nagging uncles because it's just a nugget. I would say it's just a nugget that is inside you that one day might make sense or might not at all. So just think about things, just think about what we say and whether it's relevant to you. It might not today, but someday it will. Trust me, because everybody will have different situation, different paths to go. So someday, something that Steve or the previous speaker say might, make sense on the current situation, might not make sense to some guy that is doing completely okay on this situation. So yeah, I just want to say, just keep on learning, keep on doing art, and be very, very open-minded. Just keep absorbing. We have, as an artist, we are very privileged to be able to understand a lot of abstract things that a lot of people they think we gila lah, orang gila lah, but you appreciate a lot of things. Like I tell you, I appreciate like looking at snails, the patterns,
Yeah.
or maybe I just look at plants, flowers, cars, pipes. So a lot of art in our daily life that we can appreciate that can stimulate our imagination. I want to create a monster beyond a pipe, or flower monster, or I don't make something better than Godzilla. Our mind is very rich, so it's something that should be cherished, not shut down or close or push away. So yeah, happy doing art. I hope that you guys and girls get some nuggets from me in this small sharing.
What a mentor! The way how he say things, it's like it feels like a mentor already. Thank you so much, Mr. Steve, for
Thank
such a
you.
rich knowledge and all of the words that you say. Truly, for me personally, even it carries me with a lot of like in terms of understanding for today. Even for today, I gain a lot from all of the speakers and you as well.
Mm.
Thank you so much for being with us and kind enough to actually spend your time at midnight until nighttime with us. So
Yeah, this is the first. This is the first. I'm telling my colleague like, wow, 9 o'clock. Who makes speeches or like, no, I might say something too heavy. People might fall asleep. Like 9 o'clock on a Friday. So oh yeah, thank you for staying on a Friday night evening. Weekend, and then this is like mengganggu ni. It's not late, not early, right in the middle where you should go and have fun.
no, they want to really spend time with you and then really understand. You never know. Maybe they will be sending some portfolio to Base Effects.
Yeah,
Even
bring it on. We welcome them. I welcome them. Thank you for
thank
your
you.
time as well.
Thank you so much, Mr. Steve. So I guess with representing MMU, I would like to thank you so much for coming, and I guess we will end the session today. Thank
All
you
right,
so
with
much.
pleasure. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Okay, guys, thank you so much for staying with us. Till next time, please do join us and support us. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.